again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with the continuation of my Lace Knitting 101 tutorial. Now, in this part, I'm going to show you how you can manipulate your eyelets so that they are bigger or so that they transcend several rows, in fact. It's really not that difficult once you get the hang of it. Now, as we know, when we're knitting along and we want a yarn over, it's a pretty straightforward process, and you can have very uniform looking eyelets, no problem. However, what if you want something that is uber lacy, really, really, really lacy? Well, you can. It is possible with a little bit of tweaking. Now, for a typical eyelet, I almost got stuck on the word there. For a typical eyelet, you would just yarn over once, okay? Just one yarn over, and then you would do a decrease to compensate. So, because I did my yarn over first, I'm going to do a slip knit pass. Slip and a knit and a pass. Like so. So I've got my little yarn over right here, and that's going to be my eyelet. Well, that is a typical eyelet. Well, what if you want something a bit more substantial? Well, I've seen in a number of places, if you want a bigger eyelet, well, just do 2 yarn overs. Well, yes and no. See, the thing is, yes, it totally works. However, you end up with I like to call it a meh, if you will, because yes, you have a larger eyelet, but you have a thread that sort of is staring at you saying, oh, look at me, you didn't get rid of me. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to do a double yarn over. So that's one, and then a second yarn over. Okay, so it's a double yarn over. Then continue knitting right along with another decrease, because you have an increase, so you need a decrease. So going to do again a slip and a knit, and then pass the slip stitch over. All right, so now here I have my 2 yarn over wrapping there. All right, and I'm just going to knit my way across to the end. Now, how I have seen this in a number of places is when you are knitting the next row, you're only going to be capturing one of those loops. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So let me just get myself situated here. All right, so I turned my work, and now I'm going to knit back to where we had our double yarn over. And you will see what I am talking about. Yes, you will. We are going to end up with a meh. By the way, that's spelled M-E-H. Meh. All right, so we're almost there. Now I have one knit stitch, and then I have my double yarn over that we need to contend with. So, going to knit my stitch right here. And then going to knit this first yarn over. And then we're just going to drop that second one right off, like so. And then knit my way across to the beginning of the row, which I'm going to do off camera. All right, be right back. All right, so as you can see here I have my normal little eyelet, just hanging out. And then over here, we have our double yarn over eyelet. Now, yes, it is bigger, but we have this weird sort of meh going on here, this extra loop that's just sort of hanging out and looking a little disgruntled, okay? Well, there is a way around that, and that is to work both of those yarn overs into your actual stitch. So instead of just one, it's going to be two, and it's going to be nice and wide and pretty, as opposed to this, which is just sort of like, meh. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to also show you not only how to get around this in the meh, but also how you can take an ordinary eyelet and you can extend it, which I'm going to do with this one right here. All right, so if you have an eyelet and you want it to transcend several rows, you can. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit these first 3 stitches, and the eyelet stitch, this one right here, we're going to work into the eyelet just before it. I'm going to show you what I mean. So let me knit these first 3 real quick. Come on. There we go. Alrighty. So now we are up to the eyelet. So instead of it being down below, what we're going to do is actually we're going to go into the eyelet like so. So just going right in and knit a stitch. So to repeat, excuse me. So I knit my first 3. I'm going to go into the eyelet down below, wrap the yarn around, pull it up, and there you go. And so now I'm going to knit this stitch, this next stitch, and so we have opened up our eyelet. Now keep in mind that we just created a stitch, so we need to do a decrease. Now it could be immediately after doing that stitch that we just created, or you can go mosey on a little bit and then do your decrease, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to slip one and knit one and then pass one. And that compensates for the fact that we just created a new stitch by going into the row below. So now we have the meh, and what I'm going to do now actually is I think I'm going to show you that process again. So I'm going to knit these next 2 stitches, this one and then this one, and then going again into the eyelet, wrap the yarn around to do a knit stitch, and then knit a couple of stitches, and then do another decrease. So I'm just going to do a slip, and then a knit, and then a pass, like so. And that way, the number of stitches will remain in a state of equilibrium. For every stitch that you create, you also did a decrease. And that is very, very important if you want your piece to maintain a certain shape. So from the back side, you can see that these eyelets here are a bit bigger than the ones down here. You see? So there is a difference. Now what I'm going to show you also is not just how you can work into rows below. By the way, you could, for instance, do a couple of rows and then work into a row, an eyelet several rows down. You could do that too. Now keep in mind, it will alter your fabric somewhat. It will be sort of, I don't want to say warped, but it will shift the fabric. Okay, the more rows that you skip over, the more potential warpage there will be. But if you're going for something very organic, that could be pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work a couple of rows and we'll go from there. Alrighty. All right, I didn't actually end up working a couple of rows. All I did was finish that one row going back because I wanted to show you that you can also open up your eyelets even more in the whole going, down and transcending several rows kind of technique. Yes, I wanted to show you that as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the eyelets twice this time to broaden our eyelets. I like to give you guys options. That is what I like to do. So going to knit one. And then, so we have our eyelet. All right, my cord is getting disagreeable. Sorry. All right, so I have my eyelet down here. Now, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to knit these two together. Then I'm going to go into the eyelet. And then I'm going to knit this one. And I'm going to go into the eyelet again. And then I'm going to knit these two together. So I'm going to do a bunch of decreases to compensate. Now, I hope this makes sense. I really do. So I'm going to sort of tug these down a little bit because it'll make doing a knit two together a little bit easier. And the reason why I'm doing a knit two together is because it's going to have a right-leaning decrease away from our eyelet. So going in with a knit two together. Okay, so I just did a decrease. Well, now I'm going to do an increase by going into the eyelet, yarning over there, and then pulling up a loop. So we have equilibrium because we did a decrease, then we did the increase. And my cord is getting all tangled. I am sorry. All right, then going to knit one stitch. And then I'm going to go into the eyelet again. So going down below, yarning over, pulling up that loop. And then I'm going to do another decrease. So I'm going to slip one, knit one, and then pass the slip stitch over. And there you go. So that has opened up our eyelet even more. Yes, it has. So we're going to do that again on this guy over here. All right, so to sort of plot it out a little bit, I'm going to, let me see here. All right, I'm going to knit two stitches, then I'm going to knit these two together, I think. Or I could knit one stitch. You know what? It shouldn't take this much thought, really. Yeah, all right, I'm going to knit one stitch, then knit two together. All right, so knit one. And then I'm going to knit these next two together. And when I say it shouldn't take this much thought, it's because this is a practice swatch. This is just me having fun. And also this is an organic technique. So knitting two together. and then going into the eyelet down below, wrap around, pull up your loop, and then knit a stitch. And then go back into the eyelet once again. And then we need another decrease. So again, I'm going to do a slip and then a knit and then pass over. Shaboom. All right, and I'm just going to knit the rest of these stitches. And that way we have made our eyelets even wider, and we have maintained our stitch count. There you go. All right, so let's turn this around and see how it looks. Now this is, of course, the quote-unquote wrong side, but look at that. Look at that. Now, comparing these eyelets to these eyelets, there really is not much comparison. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this technique is that you can see that things are getting a little bit bunchy, if you will, because we're going down into several rows, so things get a little bit bunchy. So yes, you can by all means use this technique. However, I would be, a little... what's the word I'm looking for? Diplomatic with how much you use the technique. All right, so now what I'm going to do is now I am in fact going to knit up a couple of rows, and then I'm going to show you one more technique so that you can achieve a double yarn over eyelet without the meh. And right now it isn't that bad nor noticeable. The meh is right over here. It's not that bad. However, I don't like it. So I'm going to show you an alternative method. Alrighty. So I'm going to knit a couple of rows and I'll be right back. Alrighty. So I knit a couple of rows. Now, as you can see, what I was referring to about the bunchiness around here, it's not that bad. It's just, this kind of takes away from the laciness, if you will. Granted, we have a lot of lace going on here, but it's very bunchy. It's my own personal opinion. I'm entitled to it, and I'm sticking to it. All right, so now I'm going to show you how you can do a double yarn over eyelet without it being as disagreeable, in my opinion. So I'm just going to knit a couple of stitches across, and then we are going to start in with our double yarn over eyelet. Now, the last example that I did, what we did was a double yarn over and then one decrease, and we just dropped one of those loops. Well, this time we're going to do a double yarn over and a double decrease. We're doing both, okay? So let me just get myself situated a little bit here. All right, so now, and my cord is really acting up like a spoiled child. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a knit two together, my double yarn over, and then a slip knit pass. So we're incorporating both. And the reason why I'm doing a knit two together is because it goes to the right, and then I'm going to be doing a slip knit pass because it goes to the left. It goes out. So going to do our knit two together. Like so. And then yarn over twice. Then slip. and knit and pass. All right, so that compensates. Now we're going to do that again. So going to just knit this one here, and then we'll do another knit 2 together. Come on, work with me here. All right, knitting 2 together. Yarn over twice. Slip. Knit. And pass. All right, and I'm just going to knit these last 2 stitches, and then I'm going to show you how you can deal with your yarn overs on the following side. Alrighty. All right, so for knitting back across, well, you can see we have our 2 yarn overs right here. Okay, so I need to knit these first 3 stitches, and then we will deal with our double yarn over. Now, the first time that we did this, we did a double yarn over and 1 decrease. This time we did a double yarn over and 2 decreases. So we're going to work both of these yarn over loops in this case. All right, so I got those knitted. All right, so now we have our 2 yarn overs. So what you want to do is we're going to knit the first one, and then make sure this one doesn't flop off. We're going to bring the yarn to the front and purl the second one. Now, yes, you want to be careful that it does not pop off. Otherwise, you know, it's rather painful when that happens. All right, and then yarn to the back again. All right, and then we're going to mosey our way to the next one. So that is going to be 3 stitches, and then we will have our next double yarn over. All right, so let's knit these up. And this is a great reason why you might want to use a lifeline when doing lace knitting, because you know, loops and yarn overs, they can fly off real easy if you're not careful. All right, so we have reached our double yarn over. So we're going to knit that first one. And then bring the yarn to the front, and then purl the second one, and then bring the yarn to the back again. There we go. And then knit the rest of the stitches. So by doing the double yarn over, we now have a double wide eyelet because we worked both of those yarn overs. And I'm going to show you as soon as I'm done with this row. All right. So let's see what we got here. Just being careful that my stitches don't go flying off. All right, look at that. Look at that. We got some crazy big eyelets going on here. And because we worked both of the stitches, you don't have the same meh going on. Nope. because we worked that stitch and we also worked this stitch as well. There isn't stuff flying all over the place. All right, so now for stuff and giggles, as I like to say, let's work across and see what we have here. Because I am not the kind of person that just says, okay, do this. No, I like to I like to be thorough. I do. Now, if I seem a little bit weird during this tutorial, it's because it is right now about 6:42 a.m. and I have been awake since yesterday afternoon. By the way, I'm just knitting this stitch and this stitch. There we go. Yeah, I've been awake since yesterday afternoon, and I couldn't sleep because I have a shift in well, not a few hours, more than a few hours, but I couldn't sleep, so I thought, let's do this tutorial. So I'm going to work our way to this eyelet. So I'm knitting the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to deal with these here. So yeah, if I seem a little bit weird, that is why. I am sleep deprived. But I figure, hey, if I can't sleep, I'm going to put my time to good use. All right, so I'm just going to knit these stitches. There's the one. And then there's the other. Just got to be careful. There we go. Now, I could have gone into that eyelet as we had done previously by going down below. That's no problem. You can do that too. But I just wanted to show you how you deal with the eyelet as a normal eyelet. Look at that. See? And it's not all bunchy, and it is a really big eyelet. And there's no meh going on. All right, so now I want to do one more row. I do. I want to do one more row. Sort of frames it. Now, as I've said, this is merely a practice swatch because there are a lot of techniques when it comes to lace knitting. More than I'm even remotely familiar with. I admit that. Now, for the example on the thumbnail, well, I used all the same eyelets as far as they were just all one yarn over eyelets, nothing extravagant. And when I do my lace along, I plan on doing probably just, a single yarn over for my eyelets. However, I strongly encourage everybody to think outside of the box, to try something different, and really get creative. And that's why I wanted to show you these techniques so that if you do want to, you can. I am not about to stifle anybody's creativity. And I always say, march to the beat of your own bongos. Always. All right, so let's see what we have here. Get ourselves all situated. Okay. Isn't that gorgeous? It's gorgeous. Absolutely, positively. All right, so that is how you can create larger eyelets, how you can transcend and go across several rows, how you can make them wider with or without a meh. And I really hope that you liked the tutorial. I hope that you will use some of these techniques, perhaps, and that you enjoyed yourself, because I certainly did. I love spending time with you guys. And so if you did like the video, please, in spite of my wonky cables, if you like the video, please give a little thumbs up button down below, because I appreciate your appreciation, always. And, hit subscribe for more good stuffs. Check out my other links to my other YouTube channel, Fiber Spider Games, my Etsy store, and merch as well. Until next time, I want all of you to, you know what to do, stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.